want to talk to you about calories. So a lot of you guys we talked last week about how to calculate the calories. I put in the Facebook page here a link to the website called damnripped.com where you can go calculate specific calories to yourself. If you haven't started tracking it, I would consider starting to track now. I know that just eating well and preparing things is a lot to take from the beginning. But in the next week or two, start to consider adding in the skill of tracking your calories just for the sake of seeing if you're eating enough. So, and my reason for this is some of you have lost several pounds, and that's amazing. I want to make sure, and a lot of it could be water, but a lot of it is weight as well. So two things about water weight. One is that most of you are drinking a lot more water than you were. So what happens is your body will retain water when we're eating processed foods, salty foods, carbohydrates. So when we start to drink a lot of water, the body's like, and also if we haven't been drinking much water, when you begin to drink more water, the body's like, oh, thank goodness, there's water, we can let this go. So it's letting go of water that it was holding on to, okay? So it's kind of an interesting thing. You're like, well, I'm drinking water and now I'm peeing a ton because you were holding on to water from maybe these bad habits, bad foods, or not drinking enough water, not being hydrated enough. And your body is like, well, if she's not drinking a lot of water, I need to hang on to what I can because I need water to do the functions that I need to do. So now that there's a lot more water coming in, hopefully, or even water from a lot more vegetables and fruits, then your body can say, oh, okay, I don't have to hold on to so much. I'm not so threatened now. I've got water coming in on a regular basis. And just so you know, that the peeing all the time should level out pretty soon here if you're pretty consistent with your water intake, okay? So that's one thing about water and what you might be experiencing with a lot of weight loss in the first week or so. The other thing is carbohydrates hold on to water. So if your diet consisted of a lot of starchy carbohydrates in the past, or even, maybe not even a ton, but quite a bit throughout, spread throughout the day, carbohydrates hold on to 3 ounces of water per gram, I believe it is. I could be wrong on that. 3 ounces of water per gram. Does that seem right? Yeah, I think that's true. I'll look that up. Let me look that up. So what that means, carbs and water. Okay. What that means is that you, when you've lowered your intake of carbohydrates, starchy carbohydrates, I should say, you are reducing the amount of water that you're hanging on to just by the fact that you're not bringing on those carbohydrates because they're stored in the muscle and it's holding on to water. I can tell when I look at a person quite often, and I'm sure you guys can too, you can see just a puffiness in a person. And, maybe puffiness in their fingers, kind of puffiness around their eyes, just a general puffiness, like under their skin. They just look puffy. They look watery. And so a lot of times with that person, and that might be you, a lot of times with that person, all it takes is just reducing carbs even a little bit and increasing their water intake, and they start dramatically looking different. So that's awesome. So I've heard a lot of phrases, people say, oh, it's just water weight, but that's all good. I mean, the fact that you're releasing water it's not like fake weight loss. I don't want you thinking of it as fake weight loss. Maybe it's not fat loss. However, a lot of times that water loss jumpstarts those shoes. Remember, I was just talking about putting yourself in those shoes of thinking, wow, I'm a girl that can lose weight, because there's a lot of people that come to me and are like, I used to be just fine and all of a sudden I can't lose anything, or I've never been a person to be able to lose weight. I've always had a midsection. I've always been chubby. I've always been soft, or, always carried an extra 20, 25 pounds. We begin to believe that's who we are, right? When you start to shed some water weight, that's actually very powerful for your mindset, even if it's not fat weight, because you start to see yourself as somebody that's like, I can shed weight in general, whether it's water or whether it's fat. Just wait though, because the fat's about to flop off real quick. So with that in mind, I want you to grab that. Don't be like, well, it's just water. Grab it for what it is. It's an awesome, positive step forward, not only for your mind that you can be the girl that loses weight, but also because you're doing the things that would cause you to lose water weight. I guess 2 weeks ago, you could say, maybe you were doing not doing those things. So that's already a positive step forward, right? And that's just going to snowball. But I do want to make sure that you're eating enough calories. That's one thing I get concerned, and it's not like over concerned, because this first 2 weeks, usually people will lose a lot of weight. But I definitely, what I don't want to happen is to find that over 6 weeks, you were eating too few calories. And then after 6 weeks, you go back to a kind of stabilized eating plan, or hopefully you'll learn enough in this program that your eating plan will be completely different from here on out. It'll become simple and kind of second nature for you to eat this way. But I don't want to find out that, you accidentally didn't eat enough calories for 6 weeks, and then you started increasing the caloric intake after 6 weeks and you're putting weight back on. So we want to make sure that we don't want to think of it. I think I said this early on. It's not a race to the end of 6 weeks. I want you to make sure that, if your weight loss is slower because you're adding in a safer number of calories, that's okay, because it's going to carry on beyond 6 weeks. What can happen is if you reduce calories too much, then your body starts to think, remember that explanation I gave you about water, is that you weren't getting enough water, and so your body was like, ooh, I got to hang on to this because I need this for my functions. Your body needs water for all the functions. So it's going to preserve what it can. Same thing happens with fat in a different realm, a different system. So if you are reducing caloric intake too much, your body's like, we're outputting a lot of energy, but we're not really getting a lot of energy in. I want you thinking about calories as energy. So we're going to have to conserve some energy here. And this looks like slowing her metabolism down, because we don't know how long it's going to be that she's going to be reducing this caloric intake. So it means we got to slow the roll a little bit to make sure that we can drag this out for a long time. When it starts slowing your metabolism down, that's obviously the exact opposite of what we want, because at the end of 6 weeks, if you begin to you've slowed your metabolism down and you begin to increase your calories, because life happens, the holidays are coming, all of that, you're going to increase the calories with a slower metabolism. And we definitely don't want that. So I really want to emphasize that that's not the goal of the program. The goal of the program is slow and steady and keep winning the race for the rest of your life. Okay. So that doesn't mean I want you to freak out if you've lost somebody, was it Deborah or Kathy lost 6 pounds already? And that's amazing. So I don't want to freak you out at all, because your body probably has its own reasons for that. And that's not really extreme. So don't freak out about that. I just want to make sure that you're not losing 6 pounds every week for the whole 6 weeks, because that would be a little extreme. Early on, it's normal. So just keep an eye on it. Just make sure that you're eating enough, that you're satiated. And that's a really good sign that you're eating enough. If you're feeling full, that's one of the first signs that you're eating enough. If you're constantly, feeling like, oh, I shouldn't have that, even though I'm starving. Oh, I shouldn't have a little more protein because I want to get that extra half pound. Don't fall into that, because that will then start to be too restrictive. It's probably safe to say with everybody in this program, if you're below 1,200 calories a day, that might be a little low. So use the calculations. Another simple method for this is to take your current body weight. So I'm going to take 150 pounds and I am going to do math. Okay. I'm going to multiply that by, I think I just did math without actually mathing. I think I did it with my head. So I'm going to multiply my current body weight by 10 up to 12 calories per day. So let's say you weigh 150 pounds. And we multiply by 10, that's 1,500 calories a day, okay? That's what it takes to keep you functioning as a 150-pound person with your activity level, yet still losing some weight, okay? That's a fat loss calculation. The other end of that is 12 calories per pound of body weight. So that would be about 1,700 calories a day. So we can kind of have a range. 1,500 calories to 1,750 calories a day would be your range. And how you would use that range is maybe on a less active day, you'd shoot for the 1,500 calories. On a more active day, like your gym workouts, you'd use the 1,750 calories. Maybe if you're just walking and doing an ab workout, that would be on the lower end of activity output, okay? So that's another simple tool for you if you don't want to, if the calculations are overwhelming to you. So that's a pretty good method. That usually comes for me. That range comes pretty close, a little on the lower side, which won't hurt you, comes pretty close to what I need to take to maintain my body weight or to lose a little bit, if that makes sense. And it comes pretty close to what the calculators use. Okay. So I just want to make you guys aware of making sure that you're getting enough. So if my body needs 1,500 calories a day and I'm only taking in, let me rephrase that. If my body needs 1,500 calories a day to lose weight and I'm only taking in 1,200, that's a pretty big deficit. That's asking it to do the same work on 300 less calories. Now, the figure I would use if I wanted to maintain weight would be something more like 13 to 14 calories per day. So let me rephrase this to make sure I said it clearly. So if I want to maintain weight, I would go with 13 to 14 calories per pound of body weight per day. I'm just going to do a little math here for you. 3, 4, 1, 40. Okay, 0, 2, 8. Perfect. Okay. That puts me, for me personally, let's say I use 140 pounds. If I multiply by 13 calories per pound of body weight, I come out with 1,820 calories a day. And I personally usually, to maintain my weight, eat between 1,600 and 1,800 calories, again, depending on my activity level and my hunger level. So that works out pretty well for me, maintenance-wise. If I want to reduce my body fat, I'm going to use a calculation like 10 to 12 calories per pound of body weight per day. That will then drop me down to probably about 1,400 to 1,600 calories a day. So it's not a huge calorie reduction, but it's just enough to stimulate my body to say, oh, we're just a little bit under our energy needs. Let's go get some fat and use that as a fuel source. If I took it way down to 1,200 calories a day, my body's like, whoa, this is not much. And I can function on that here and there, and I can function on it for a short time, but I don't want you functioning on that for long periods of time so that your body starts freaking out and saying, okay, she keeps doing this 1,200 calories a day, yet she's asking me to do, 1,800 calories or 2,000 calories worth of effort every day. And I'm really starting to get hungry here for fuel, okay? And then it's starting to freak out. It'll start to slow things down, much like a bear going into hibernation. So what happens when a bear goes into hibernation is the bear's body knows we're without food for a really long time. So the bear basically goes into coma mode. Everything just shuts down just enough to keep the bear alive and warm during this hibernation season without any fuel coming in. So it's kind of living off what it has, but it shuts everything down because if the bear's metabolism was functioning properly and its body heat was way up there and it was, all its organs and systems were functioning at high level, then it would be using up very precious fuel, fat fuel, that the body needs to sustain itself all winter long. Same thing with us. If we don't give it enough fuel, yet we ask it to do a lot of effort between our gym workouts and our walks and all the stuff, we're asking it to go hard on very little, and it's going to go into this mode, this slow down mode, and it's going to slow the metabolism down, which will affect you later down the line. And I don't want that to happen to any of y'all. Okay. So that's what you get. So let me know in the comments if you've been tracking your calories at all and how that's looking for you. How many calories are you eating? How are you feeling on it? And if not, when are you going to start? Even if it's just a little here and there, just to get an idea of what 1,500 calories even looks like. That's kind of important just to kind of get a little grasp. And I think I mentioned this before that I don't necessarily track every day, but I do track periodically so that I kind of get back in tune with how many calories it takes to make me feel comfortable and strong and energetic, as well as keeping either maintaining weight or losing fat. Okay, that's what you got. Okay, you guys, you're doing amazing. Very proud of you girls. You keep plucking away, and I'll talk to you soon.